attracted to girls. That's never changed. I just didn't know I was a lesbian until I transitioned because I didn't know I was trans, so I couldn't have known that. You know what I mean? Like, I thought I was a boy until I didn't. So.
Bro thinks that he's a lesbian.
The person accused of trying to grab a fifth grader from a Cherry Creek school playground last year is incompetent to stand trial. And for the fourth time in 7 years, that person will see the charges dropped because of incompetency, though they're being transferred to a mental health facility. Kids at Black Forest Hills Elementary School yelled, "Stranger danger." Solomon Galligan is accused of trying to grab a fifth grader at recess in April 2024. Almost 1 year ago, Galligan was found incompetent to stand trial. 9 News Investigates looked into Galligan's criminal history and found felony charges dropped twice in 2021 and again in 2018 because Galligan was found incompetent to stand trial. A spokesman for the Arapahoe County District Attorney's Office, which will be dropping the charges, tells us Galligan is not being released to the public, but is being released to a mental health facility.
Wow. Okay, this story is pretty creepy, but what I want to do is I'm going to add some other things to show you that this person is not the oh my God, I fell into a deep hole of predators and kids. It's insane. I don't know if it's because I have a kid now that I'm more aware of this stuff, but wow, or is it getting worse because of the internet? It's so creepy. So I also noticed that this was this person is being called trans. So I did a little bit of a dive into finding out if that's the truth or if people are just saying it. So I found this article from April 2024 when all of this stuff happened. Family of suspect in Colorado attempted school kidnapping, pleads for more state mental. Well, clearly this person has a mental illness. There's no doubt about it. And it's how many times they've been arrested. And I guess you get off when you're mentally ill, but you go to a mental institution, but then you get released. This person keeps getting released, which is totally insane. So it said here that Sarah, the adopted sister of 33-year-old Solomon Gallagher, the person students at the Black Hills Elementary say walked onto the playground during recess and tried to take a child. While Solomon claims to identify as a woman, as Solomon was in the process of transitioning for several years, the family is choosing to use he, him pronouns to tell the story. And then just goes on to talk about how mentally ill he is and that he needs to be, but he is identifying as trans. And so is that part of the mental illness? Is that the whole self-ID thing that I keep telling you guys how dangerous it is to let somebody just self-ID as a woman? And I'll show you more and why this is so dangerous. And these people aren't getting any mental health care or evaluations to be diagnosed with gender dysphoria and a mental disorder called gender dysphoria. They're just identifying as that. So then
this school, Black Forest Elementary School. Here's what's happening out here. Once again, and take a look at this video. You can see the suspect coming onto the field. It happened during an afternoon recess on April 19th. He is only on the field for about 1 minute, but he approaches one of the students, raises his right hand, and he tries to grab what is a fifth grader by the shoulder. Fortunately, he falls down, and the student is able to get
a boy during elementary school recess. This happened at Black Forest Hills Elementary School on Friday afternoon. A phone call to parents said the man entered school property, engaged with students, and then left. Then this afternoon, the school district sent out an email to parents informing them this man, 33-year-old Solomon Galligan, had been arrested and charged with attempted kidnapping. That email to parents from the principal of the school, Amanda Replug, says right after the incident, staff brought students inside from recess and called district security. In another letter, she says the school safety team will convene tomorrow to review security protocols, and there will be increased supervision this week.
So how is this dude running around on a school playground and snatching kids? And I don't know how much you could see there, but the kids were like running like this crazy looking dude who looks totally insane, okay, is completely trying to snatch a little kid. And now this person, how many times have they been arrested? 4 or 5 times? I think it said here in this that, hold on, let me bring this up. So it says here that Colorado Democratic DA will be recalled for moving to dismiss charges against trans sex offender accused of trying to kidnap a boy. So I think because they're mentally ill, okay, I don't know what determines that. Clearly this person is mentally ill, but to dismiss the charges The whole thing seems so sketchy to me, and this is like the fourth time that this scary looking person has had this situation happen with them, and I'm not really sure why they're just going into, so they definitely need to be in a mental health care facility. And again, I want to reiterate, it says here that this person, the reason they're saying trans, okay, is because first off, that they've been in and out of jail. The sister says they've been in and out of jail for so many years, right? They've been diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar. When he was 16, he was deemed unfit to stand trial. So he's been doing this since he was 16 years old, right? And then right here it says Solomon Gallagher shared the news of his gender transition in 2011 on Facebook post and later identified as a woman. The same year he was placed on the sex offender registry after he was convicted of non-consent sexual contact. This dude has been doing this stuff. He's been in jail since 16. And even the family's like, what is going on here? We need to get this guy some help, but there is no mental health care, which is completely insane in itself. So as we move forward, I want to start to show you this sort of transgender predator thing that is happening when people like this can just self-ID. He started identifying as a woman. Never does it say they went through any kind of system. They just started identifying as a woman. Okay, so then this is why it's so dangerous that we just have such a flimsy idea of what trans is.
All right, you're going to want to pay attention to this because it really is stunning. A registered child sex offender facing 20 charges now for allegedly exposing himself multiple times to women and young girls in locker rooms at high schools across Arlington County, Virginia. And the area's transgender policies may have paved the way for him to do it. Yeah. Let's bring in the Virginia Attorney General, Jason Miyares. Mr. Attorney General, thanks for being with us. We really appreciate it. A lot of people at home watching this may wonder how we got to the point where a registered child sex offender can gain access to a girls' locker room at a high school aquatic facility.
Wow.
Simply by claiming to be transgender.
There you go.
Well, as often happens in these types of cases, you hear these stories and you think, how in the world did this happen? And this happened because you had certain local, in this case, a local Commonwealth's attorney in Fairfax, who views himself more as a social worker than a prosecutor. And so back in June of last year, months before these incidences in Arlington, this individual, as noted, was a registered Tier 3 sex offender, the highest level for indecent liberties with a child, a criminal conviction, a felony conviction dating back to the 1990s. This individual went to a Planet Fitness, exposed himself.
Disgusting.
Those charges were later dropped. But the reality is, because he's a Tier 3 registered sex offender, he's not allowed within 100 feet of a daycare or center or school. Guess what? Right next to that Planet Fitness was a daycare center.
Wow.
If they could have prosecuted him on a felony in June, he was allowed to be back on the street. And as a result, he exposed himself to a 9-year-old, a 5-year-old, multiple individuals, and now he's facing multiple charges in Arlington. But this is what happens when local prosecutors fall through the cracks, and local government, in this case in Fairfax, specifically allowed a policy that allowed individuals like him, a biological male, to freely walk in and use the women's restroom.
See, that's the self-ID. How is this person trans? It opens up such a huge chasm for anyone to say they're a woman. And also, I want you to notice all the videos that I found today, and I searched, they're all men who claim to be women. There's not one woman claiming to be a man who's in this predatory space. Think about it. It's so disgusting that we have this, and shame on the transgender activism for opening this up for these gross freaks to attack children. And like, what is, no wonder everybody hates us.
As you said, there's quite a history with this fella. And in terms of Arlington Public Schools and their facilities, it didn't happen just once. It happened in multiple locations, including the Barcroft Sports and Fitness Center, the Washington Liberty High School, and Wakefield High School.
Look at this person.
Parents had alerted the school board about earlier incidents, but it appeared to fall on deaf ears. Here's what WJLA, one of the local affiliates.
Because people are too scared to say anything back then, not anymore. I think this is a little bit older, but you know what? Like, oh man, I can't say anything. You're being transphobic. The woman is pulling her penis out in the locker room.
Reported, quote, the mother said she spoke to Arlington County School Board member Mary Cadera about the situation in September of 2024.
Disgusting.
And Cadera's solution was to add signage encouraging people to be considerate of others, to cover private parts in locker rooms, and to observe locker room etiquette.
Disgusting.
Mr. Attorney General, what about the basic idea of keeping sex offenders the heck out of girls' locker rooms?
What? Like, you think an actual sex offender is going to feel like being considerate towards little kids and women? Please, people, please. Oh my God, it's so pathetic. So of course I found this when I was doing my research a little bit. And of course my great friend here did this great video.
These days, the narrative is that transgender people will come into bathrooms and abuse little girls. The supposed purity of the victims has remained stagnant. There are no princesses. Little girls are also kinky. Your kids aren't straight and as narrow as you think.
Gross. Just
Good
gross.
morning.
Hi.
It's 3 p.m. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to yet another video that if the world had even an ounce, an iota of sanity in it right now, I would not have to make. However, we're here making it. So if you've been on this channel for a while, you probably recognize this face. This is Alok Vade Manon, famed trans activist, influencer, non-binary activist. I have had many annoyances, grievances, and critiques of him over the past couple years. I think I've made 2 or 3 videos over the years about him, but this video is actually not about that at all. Some really disturbing posts have resurfaced in regards to Alok, and
gross.
I am gonna say I don't know how I missed them, but I actually do know how I missed it, because this has been heavily censored, and people who talk about this have been banned off Twitter. I don't know what kind of pull he has at Twitter to make that happen.
Well,
and you guys know
now.
I'm not the person to pull up old receipts and point out things that are offensive, that weren't offensive then, but are offensive now. But when it comes to potential predatory behavior, when it comes to comments about children, I think that's a different ballgame, and I have no problem calling that out.
Right
and
on,
frankly,
Blair.
after seeing this, I am absolutely more revolted, disgusted, and offended than ever that Alok has this huge platform, that he's constantly platformed by celebrities and hailed as like a thought leader in the trans community. I don't want this to be a leader in any community that I'm a part of. So it started.
So thank God we have actual people like this person, Blair White, who really has been calling these people out for years upon years upon years. She's been doing the work, calling out the community on their nonsense, and thank God for her, because honestly, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for Blair, just so you know. So I really respect that person a lot, and I think she has a lot of integrity, and she's super awesome. And so they're calling out one of our own, not mine, not my community, but that person says some creepy stuff. Not the only one. You and I both know. I just did one on this creepy freak. Okay, so let's look at this one.
Attracted to girls. That's never changed. I just didn't know I was a lesbian until I transitioned, because I didn't know I was trans, so I couldn't have known that. You know what I mean? Like, I thought I was a boy until I didn't. So.
Bro thinks that he's a lesbian, but I want you to pay attention to something a little bit deeper, because I think the language is really important, and this dude is absolutely telling on himself. For those of you who don't know, that's Nick Cantino. He likes to be called Lily Tino, but fuck that, I ain't doing it. He keeps saying girls. Girls. Not women. Girls. And all of his shit revolves around children in some way, shape, or form, because that's the line that he's pushing. He's constantly going to Disney, to children's spaces, to talk about inappropriate sexual shit. Everything about this dude screams predator, and I really hope that the state of Florida takes him off of the streets, because the Attorney General is currently investigating Nick Tino. Fuck that dude, man.
Okay, and then we have people just saying, well, who are they? And these are trans people. This reflects the transsexual community. That's the transgender community. I know y'all who watch me regularly know there's a difference between a transsexual. Myself, Blair, we are transsexuals. We understand our biology, blah, blah, blah. Then there's the creepy transgenders who are doing all of this creepy stuff. I mean, I can't even believe how many there are who've been accused of this kind of stuff. And then we got big people who have huge platforms just totally going, look, what the heck? I think that dude would be super cool with me and Blair, and I really do believe that. I think that they're just calling it out like we're calling it out. So then the next one I have is so creepy. It's just going to make you want to puke.
No, I'm getting arrested.
Take a seat.
Why? For that shit.
Take a seat.
I'm trying.
Take a seat.
I'm trying.
What?
On April 12, 2023, Bloomington police officers were dispatched to a residence with an arrest warrant for Michelle, a transgender woman who was accused of sexually assaulting her 9-year-old daughter and 8-year-old son. Michelle earlier identified as James, but she had changed her name legally.
There we go. Another one. Okay, I could just put on so many of these. I found so many of these transgender male to female. It's just crazy how many there are. And again, there's no female to male predators out there, it seems to me. Or there might be, but they're not being put on the internet like these people are. It's just one after another. This person did it to their own children. To 2 children. What? Why? Why are they identifying as transgender? That's the thing that I'm really concerned about. And what the hell is going on? There's just so many of them. Then they caught this one, which this one is... Let me just see if there's a little bit more here that might be interesting.
Prior to his arrest, James had learned of the accusations made against him through his ex-wife. He then destroyed his phone, which contained pornographic images that he showed his children while abusing them. Some of those nudes were of his ex-wife, who had parted ways with him after he came out as a transgender woman.
Okay, so we can walk to the...
Hands, right?
Disgusting. 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 These people are not transgender. They're freak, pervert, freaky weirdos. Okay. Yuck, gross, just yuck. Okay, so then there's this one.
Why are you guys looking at me? Listen, we got all the audio, we got all the chat logs. I'm talking to Allie. We're going to talk about it, all right? Oh my God. I'm just trying to have fun here.
23-year-old Christopher Carey, a transgender online sex predator from Hastings, Nebraska, believed he was communicating with a 12-year-old girl from Lincoln, Nebraska.
We were talking to her last night about, sex.
You just got to know her. You wanted to take Allie to a dark place.
Go drive around. Go somewhere and we could go somewhere in the dark or something to make out and stuff.
Disgusting.
Now we're going to place tons of pressure on Hastings PD, the detectives, and everyone involved to make sure Chris is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and justice is served.
Yeah, but here's my question. Going back to the first one, are they just going to claim mental illness now and then they're going to just be put into a mental space and then just let out again? Because it seems like that's the pattern here. I want to know what you guys think. Should these people be actually put into actual real prison? Or should they be put into a mental space? Or should we have a mental hospital within the prison to take care of what's going on with these people and why they are attracted to little kids? Because you can't, there's got to be something done. The first one proves it. They just keep getting let out and go back and doing the same thing over and over and over again. Or can you never let them out of a mental institution? So if you know the answers to all those, I'd appreciate if you put it in the comments. Now, that being said, I found this last one, and I had seen this interview before, and I think it's a really important interview. And it's an interview with an actual sex offender who has been arrested many times before. He's a convicted child predator, Jack Reynolds, and he describes like how he would go after kids. It's actually a little bit disturbing, but I think it's a very important video.
How did you get them alone?
I would check out their family situation.
Wow.
I would check out their clothing to see how well they were, financially.
This is so important.
I would check out their social interaction with other kids.
Yeah.
When we were on the ballparks or on the gym floor, I would make sure which ones I wanted to molest. I would give them special attention, congratulate them, talk to them when I know that I would never be allowed to talk to anybody else. Aside from everybody, I would give them the attention that an official is not supposed to give anybody. And it made them feel like, wow,
yeah,
he's paying me attention. You know, it is a direct form of grooming.
Were there certain characteristics that you looked for in children before molesting them?
In children, yes, but more I also looked at their families. If I thought the father was a threat, I would not approach the child. If I thought that the child had friends that he would tell, I would not approach him. If I thought the child had friends that were in the same capacity he was, I would approach him.
Wow.
For the simple fact that if I could molest him, I could lure him into believing, grooming him into believing that he would enjoy it. And therefore, I could manipulate him into having his other friends come and be molested by me as well.
So perhaps a child that doesn't really have a whole lot of friends, maybe not really a strong family, things like that.
Yes, no spiritual values, weak in education, you know, needs help in many ways. Even from split parenting, you know, has a mother who may be having problems with the family, you know, well, here comes superhero in to help out, you know, wow, well, thank you very much. No problem. You ever need me to take him away for the night so you can have a night out? No problem. It works.
As much as that just made me want to puke, it is a valuable video, valuable on so many levels. Really, he's telling you exactly the kind of children they look for. More in a sense, a loner kid, or a kid who doesn't have a lot of friends, or maybe even a family that's not solid, spiritual beliefs, so many things that it's easy to groom these children into trusting this older man, and then getting the friends of the kid to come over. It is so crazy. You know, I really feel so disgusted that so many of the people that I found today are identifying as trans. There's so many more. I didn't even have a chance to show you. It's just out there. And like that one clip from the news stated, that we have created a problem by creating this idea that anyone can be a woman, and that we should allow them in women's spaces when they're not women, they're men who are identifying. And we have really regressed in the transsexual space, and it has been taken over by a bunch of crazy people who are abusing the system. And now we need to get back to understanding that gatekeeping is so important in this, and understanding that calling out the predators within your own community are hugely important. No matter what community you are in, you have to call out the bad players in your community. And I will continue to do that. And I don't care what the so-called community thinks about me. I will continue to stand with my own morals and integrity, and feel that it is an important conversation that we have. And why is this happening at such a fast rate? And now all of a sudden so many men decide they're women, and this horrible stuff is happening. So with that, I also want you to talk to me in the comments about what you think about mental health care, and how I believe we should be bringing it back. And there are many of these people who need serious mental health care, but does that mean they shouldn't still be in prison? And how do we get them mental health care? And why did that first person get let out of prison so many times? Because of their mental health. That just seems completely insane. So with that, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing to the channel, helping me get these videos out, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.